Welcome to Fizz TV. I'm your host, Sammy, aka Fizz Post. Next, I have my co-host Steve. Hi, Steve. Welcome to another week, another disappointing week of Fizz TV.
It feels like I was just sitting here talking with you, Sammy. Having a very similar vibe. It's Groundhog Day
It's the Groundhog Day edition.
again. But I feel maybe we just got too spoiled last year with way too much good, and this is just a pretty big reality check for fans. I don't know. It's a very weird vibe that we have going on right now, and I know that I'm not alone. I know the four of us aren't alone. Before we kick off, I just want to, from Fins TV out to everybody that's been impacted by Hurricane Helene, we just want to let you know that we're thinking about you. You've been through a lot. And if you are watching this and you aren't impacted, do something, reach out, see what you can do to help out. Lots of great resources out there, but you don't even need any resources. Just be out there to give us support to anybody that might need it. But
Absolutely, that's a great way to start a show. We want to talk about that at the end, probably, but I think that's the correct way to do it. We should start with that. A lot of things happened this week for the Dolphins. A lot of heartbreak as a Dolphins fan, but for those who've been through that, a lot of experience into a hurricane, to the devastation. That's reality. That we have fun with the Dolphins. We suffer when they lose. It's unbearable sometimes, but compared to the devastation to some parts of Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, anything will help. So there are a lot of great links, like you said, the Red Cross and other great entities are helping. So if you can, please take a minute to check them out and help it when you can.
Definitely.
So on this episode, well, we're gonna go back to an old friend about how the Dolphins might be, stuck with that soft label now more than ever. But also next week we're talking about an old label, an old friend or old enemy, I should say. The Patriots are on the schedule, so next week might be a reset revenge game. So that should be interesting. And therefore, we're going to talk about the keys of the game, what the Dolphins need to do on offense and defense against the Patriots, Steve. There's not going to be highlights this week because it was a certainly disappointing game. Dolphins started the game. There were some of us who were guilty of the mistake. When you have a quarterback that has no experience in the system, but then it seems to be very complicated, but still. Not a lot of experience on the system. Only 2 weeks from the Ravens training practice squad to join the Dolphins. It was a certainly disappointment, though. Still, the Dolphins look okay on defense, but on offense is the same old, unorganized, even tired sometimes. It was certainly disappointing. So, Steve, I want to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts? You had to go through that again. Your thoughts on the disappointment that was the performance from Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins last night.
In the famous words of a head coach, check your pulse. And yes. I think everybody in Dolphins Nation right now really needs to check their pulse just to make sure that their heart is still beating, because we're light years away from where we were a year ago. Very long ways away from what we had for preseason expectations after that week one win. We really thought that we were headed to some great places, and we're in the absolute opposite direction right now. I mean, It's nothing new. I know a lot of people say it, hearing a lot more from the national media, which is surprising to hear this, that all those people out there say that, McDaniel's system, those weapons, those wide receivers, everybody, it's just plug and play. Any quarterback can go in there and play. Well, we've seen proof enough that is not the case. You can't just plug and play any quarterback into this system and just all of a sudden have it work out. So it's I find myself wondering what the hell is going on. I find myself sitting on the couch watching the games, and just the expectations are low. And we'll get into some more details when we get joined by Sherry and Jason here. But I'm just, my expectations, I joked before I was team no expectations. I literally have no expectations right now. So when you're incapable of moving the ball the way that they are, and I'll get some of the negative stuff out of the way before I talk about positives, because 1/3 of this squad out there absolutely locked down and did their job yesterday. But I'm think that they said, what is the last team to go 4 games without having a lead was the 2016, 2017 Cleveland Browns, whichever team it was that went 0-16. Well, we've hit the record books, the opposite of what we did last year, and it's definitely not a great place to be.
Absolutely. Let's go straight about the comments. We have some people joining the comments. Are afraid. Adrian Rainey, worse than last week.
Worse than last week, Adrian, and we're missing you this week. It was good cutting it up with you last week. So
yeah, I wanted him to join us today, but he has prior engagement. But hopefully he'll be joining us soon enough. Cosa Nostra, good evening. It means TV, of course. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome. Okay. Cosa Nostra, the Jabronis Bowl.
It really is.
Man. Oh man, that was really rough. Let's go straight to this. Let's be joined for a special guest, Sherry Hallett. Thank you for joining us back, and freshly squeezed from Marisa and Jason on Dolphins Talk, the hardest working man in Dolphins Nation, Jason Sarney. Good evening.
Welcome.
Hello,
Jason.
Guys, I want to start with Jason. Jason,
hey, everybody.
It was a disappointment. Last week you didn't. You were very careful not to pick a winner. You had your reservations. We all did, but you certainly were on the live saying you had your reservations. But I have to believe that even though you had reservations, you didn't expect to be this bad. What are your thoughts on last night's games, Jason?
No, no, this was bad.
Absolutely.
This was like one of the worst 3 or 4 games that I've ever stomached through. It was just, they went in with a quarterback off a practice squad to try to replicate an offense that really could only be run by 2 or 3 people in the league. And that was literally said by the broadcasters. Tua could run this offense. Brock Purdy could run this offense in San Francisco. And like maybe 2 or 3 other guys who just know that system can run it. And I just get really upset with the same thing that I've been really upset over. And I hate to beat a dead horse with a stick, but this is a game of inches. And on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1, I'm not calling it a yard anymore. I'm going to dumb it down. I'm going to call it 3 feet. The shortest and easiest way to get from point A to point B is just a straight line. Not a zigzag, not east-west, not 2 running backs where you waste body movement to get the handoff because it's a long, like half of a U shape of a route to hand the ball to the guy. So when you're talking about inches, nanoseconds, you lost. You already lost. The Tyreek Hill play on a sweep is cute on a 2nd and 1. You know why it's cute on a 2nd and 1? Because if you miss, it's 3rd and medium. But if you do it where it's like dead or alive for a drive, it's asinine to me. And it's the same crap. And then when they do hit a couple of times with an Alec Ingold power football run up the middle, and then everyone and their mother knows that it's coming. So why not then do a play action after that? It's like the 4th time they tried to do it. They got snuffed. You know why? Hello. So
Absolutely.
There's no adjusting. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I said before that I believe Mike McDaniel is a great play designer, but he certainly has proven he's not a great caller, and he's being questioned right now. He's a great coach. You can have the smart guy in the room, but still, if it's not proven the field, you don't do the necessary adjustments. So before I go to Sherry, what are your thoughts?
No, I was just gonna say I was on mute again. Other than the pre-snap motion last year, I'm waiting to see great play designs. I just am. I mean, it's flash in the pan to do that quick little step this way and flip it back that way. But like Jason just said, you do that 2 times, they cue into it and they know what's coming. It's not a surprise. So there's these flashy tags that get put on people like, oh my God, a genius, a great play designer. I'm not seeing it. Again, I'll get into it later. I want to go to Sherry because I know that she has some counterpoints to what I'm saying right now. But I'm just not seeing it. I don't know, Sherry. What you got?
Okay, I would not call them counterpoints. What I told Steve before we started was the Dolphins are like one of my children, and if my children screw up, I still love them. So I can critique them, but I'm always going to love them, and that's why I have Mr. Shula up here behind me because I love him and everything he did for our team. I heard Eric Spoelstra, I think that's how you say the Heat's coach name because I don't do basketball. He was asked, what's Mike McDaniel thinking? What's going through his head with all these critiques from the fans? And he said, at this stage of the game, this is what they live for, which I don't know. I couldn't handle the stress, but that they need the adversity and that's what helps them grow and become better. And I hope that's true. And I hope he takes this adversity and grows from it and learns what he can and cannot do on his own. So with that being said, and I'm very glad there's no podcast for my job because I wouldn't want a bunch of people sitting around telling me how to do mine. So I'm going to do it. But I could not agree with Jason more. Everyone who knows me knows that is my least favorite play. When it is 3rd and 3 feet and you pitch back and now it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and they know it's coming. This is what I have to say about that right now. We don't have Tua behind the line. So we don't have somebody with a delicate frame. Why don't we try a tush push once in a while? Why don't we get some of our people behind Huntley? He's strong, right? He's got the moves. It's 3 feet. Push through. Let's try a couple things. Do something different. Do something they aren't going to look for. We know the toss sweep's coming. We know the end around's coming. If we know it, they know it. So we need to try something different. And I still, just because I'm critiquing my Dolphins doesn't mean I don't love them because I will forever love them.
Okay, so I love you, Sherry.
Uh-oh.
But I'm going, however, there's a
big butt here. Sammy's out.
Sammy's out. I do know that if and when somebody that you love does something wrong, they will get a silent treatment for a while. They will get shunned and know that they messed up. You got that F around and find out chart. They're up here, and they need to find out.
But do I always love them?
Oh, of course. I'm not saying I don't love my Dolphins. I wouldn't be on the show if I didn't. I would have been like, Sammy, I'm not feeling good. I don't know. Matt Armstrong, I got to work.
Matt. Sure, Matt. Work.
Shout out to Matt Armstrong.
I will tell you that the one thing I don't do, as angry as I get, is ever sit there and say, I give up. I know that in the moment, sometimes people react in that haste, but in my heart, that can't happen. I've been, since I was 2 years old, this is part of my lifeblood. This is part of who I am. I can't give up. It's like giving up on a portion of my soul. So that can't happen. That doesn't mean I don't want better and I don't want to see improvement and I don't want to see changes. But I'm not the coach. I can't make those changes. So I'm hoping that they do what they need to do.
Before we go to Jason, I wanted Jason to react to what Sherry just said. But let's go, Steve, let's go to some of the comments, please. Help me out here. Cat for Life. Deals bad guys. My heart goes out to the fans who were at the stadium last night.
When kickoff hit, Cap, I was just like, it's Monday night. Coming off of 2 really poor performances, outcomes. I saw the stands and I'm just like, man, it was depressing to see Hard Rock Stadium really look that empty. And then as the game went on, it got more and more empty. And then you see the fans going towards the exits. It's not a pretty sight. It felt like a Miami Hurricanes game, to be honest. But
Adrian, McDaniel is stuck on his own way, and
yes.
Also, Adrian, Sammy was about to run. Yeah, I was about to put a Constanza. Good everybody, and start running.
I don't want to keep beating the same drum here with this stuff, Sammy, but why in the world did we pick up Jonnu Smith in the offseason?
That's the biggest disappointment.
Mike McDaniel came out, and I don't watch every single one of his pressers, but I see the hot mic clips and everything where they're like, he was talking about tight end being the last piece of his installment, what he really truly needed. Where the only target Jonnu Smith I think got last night, maybe he got another one, and I think he did get another one, but the first one that he got was well into the game, and it was because Huntley had somebody dragging his ankle, somebody else pulling him back down to the ground, and he threw it just so he wouldn't take a sack. I don't understand what's going on with that. The offensive personnel utilization, I'm just not seeing it. It's maddening to see this, but now on a positive note, I've got to seriously give praise to Anthony Weaver and what he's doing with this defensive unit. And I think, unfortunately, Jalen Phillips went down yesterday, clearly was in a lot of discomfort and pain, tried to fight through it and just finally couldn't. And frankly, at that point, it's like, when he got hurt last season, when Bradley Chubb got hurt last season, you know what? Don't even have him in the game anymore. You don't want to risk any of them getting any injuries that are going to hurt them really, truly long term. So why do that? But the defense is really, truly doing everything they can. And they said this was said, I think, after week 2, Sammy, that they were talking about the Titans and their top defense. And they're like, how long is it going to be before the defense turns on the offense? And I would really hate to see it. I don't want to see our siblings fighting with one another, really, truly angry with one another. But you have to kind of wonder, forget the Tyreek Hill prima donna stuff, yelling behind Coach McDaniel or whatever. I really think that they're going to hit a point of true frustration, like, we're doing everything we possibly can. We are the 6th best defense in the league right now, and you're giving us nothing.
2 things. I feel so bad for Calais Campbell. Man of the year. He wanted to finish his career in Miami. He thought the Dolphins were a Super Bowl contender, and to probably go out like this is really heartbreaking for me. And the other thing is, if Jalen Ramsey had not gotten that contract extension, hell will be burning right now. Jalen Ramsey will be burning the Dolphins facility right now. But that's, maybe I'm talking too much, but Jalen Ramsey is a guy who doesn't stand for that kind of mediocrity. So, but he's pretty quiet. So, it looks like he's quiet because he has paid. He's comfortable. I want to go to just Jason. Jason, a lot has been said about the Dolphins not having a third receiver, but Dolphins pick up again Geno Smith, who led the league in passing yards per catch last season. So they have a capable third receiver if they really wanted to. So I really don't understand why the Dolphins are not doing more crossing routes and all that movement before the snap. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the Dolphins. Is too many penalties and all of that. So what are your thoughts on the whole game plan, Matt Daniel? I'm baffled with that, Jason.
Sammy, your amazing Seinfeld reference got me thinking, and I think I have the solution. Do the opposite. You want to run? Pass. You want to go for it? Punt. Let's
punt. So simple. Punt. Yes.
Let's work that way. But I want to dive into that a little bit more. What I would love is a little bit more of a this is chess, not checkers aspect of football, where if it's you're in the middle of your field, right? And you either have this choice on 4th and 1. You have a couple of choices. You could go for it and get stuffed with bad play calling. You can kick a long field goal, whereas if you miss it, teams in plus territory, 1 first down, every kicker could really make 55 yards of a kick, right? Jason Sanders has a little bit of trouble earlier in games with that. He has hit him. He's done. But if I'm looking at a great defense who, here's a stat, number 1 in the league in 3rd down conversions on their opponents, 23.8%. So when you have a defense, and Javon Holland alluded to this, when you have a defense that is literally telling the press, we did our job, we got off the field. You know what that's saying? If you motherfuckers don't score right now, that's basically what it's saying. Because to not go 10 quarters with a touchdown, or to go 10 quarters without a touchdown, while your defense is saying, all right, 2 for 12, 3 for 13. This is what offenses are going on 3rd down against this unit. 0 points, 0 points, 7 points in 3 games before last night. In the second half, Weaver makes adjustments. Second half of last night, I'm not going to have a problem with the defense. There were 3 plays I thought they checked out and gave up. It was the Tony Pollard long run. It was the couple plays later, Tajay Spears waltz into the end zone. And to me, the most egregious play at the end of the game, they allowed the over to hit. They allowed a last touchdown. Whereas Tony Pollard took a rainbow route, said hi to his folks, said hi to his alma mater, and then went into the end zone. And the Dolphins let him do it the whole way. And if I was a person, and I'm not, on that team or coaching staff, I'm saying if you let them get into the end zone now, don't come to film study. Because you left even more of a loser. You could have just stopped him and just said, try to score on us at our home. You already won. Don't do it. It's like dunking with 30 seconds to go and you're already up by 8 when you could have just dribbled it out. You don't do that. And
it's like going for the field goal. Jason, it's like going for the field goal when you have 70 points.
Correct.
You don't do it.
70 points, exactly. But that's almost such a great example and almost such a mind explosion. Whereas, oh, well, thank God that our guys were good enough to not put 73 on them when they scored 70. But last night happened, you know,
I thought about that.
It's almost like the paradoxical scenarios that we deal with as Dolphin fans are really
it's the bizarro world. Yes,
it really is crazy.
I really have to believe, Jason, that unless you were actually on the field playing offense and on that first attempt that they went for it on 4th and short, everybody else in Dolphins Nation was saying punt the damn ball, including the defense. They wanted them to punt the ball, to play it's not going to be a high-scoring game. You know, deep down in your core, Mike McDaniel even knew we're not going to run this score up. Play the long game and put them at a disadvantage instead of doing the same thing you've done time and time and time again this season of putting the defense in a lose-lose situation.
It's a battle of field position.
Oh,
and we've got to stop giving them the ball right out of 50. I mean, kick them deep, get them to start, make them run the entire length of the field on us. Don't make them have to go halfway.
They have the same challenges offensively.
If you're looking...
Doesn't make any sense. Please go ahead,
Jason. If you're looking at this team, like, hindsight's 2020. I get that, but we've been preaching this 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You know, even last year with a fully healthy team, what you need to do with a short yardage game, what you need to do to adapt, what you need to do to not shoot yourself in the foot. But you know, you got to just put yourself in a better position, and I think that they just fundamentally failed at that. It was a fundamental failure of not putting people in the best position, and it's got to be fixed, or else it's going to get really ugly really quickly.
And on that note of putting people in a position, and I really need somebody to explain this to me, how week in and week out we're seeing wide receivers bust into our zone coverage and find those soft pockets. I'm not seeing anybody over the past 3 weeks get into a soft pocket where they just and hell, by the time Huntley had a chance to find the soft pocket, he was, winding up to short arm it or something. I don't even know, but in reality, I'm really questioning, is it the routes? What is it? Something is going on where we're not identifying those opportunities to capitalize on it, and it's really, really curious.
I'd like to may I comment on that very quickly?
Please go ahead.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've been sitting here in my head running over how we started with Tua, we've had Skylar, we had Boyle, we now have Huntley. There's no timing anymore because you've got a new person under center almost every time they go out there. In the beginning, he was short passing. So Tyreek was on a route and it was 2 yards behind him. So he had to turn around and try to come back to the ball. Finally, I do believe that Tyreek kind of slowed down a little towards the middle to the end of the game to say, okay, well, if it's going to be short each time, let me run up behind it. And then all of a sudden, Huntley's chucking it 4 yards in front of Tyreek. And I turned to Steve and said, if this is Tua, there are so many passes that Tua makes. He hits Tyreek because he's not throwing short or he's not over. I mean, I'm not saying he's perfect. He's human. But how do you get a team to get any timing together when there is a different person behind there every week, every other practice? It's almost at this point in the season where you say, pick somebody and see what we can do and stick with it, because I wanted to see Boyle. Because I thought of the 2 quarterbacks the day he played with Skylar, he at least had zip. He had intention. It felt like that what he was doing wasn't happy feet. It was on purpose. Last night, I wasn't impressed by Huntley, and I get it's 2 weeks. But if we keep switching out, there's never going to be any cohesion, and you're not going to see anything different. People are going to be under in routes, over in routes. It's never going to work. So we have to find a way to pick a lane and stay in it and ride it out, because the constant changing can't make success.
And maybe that's why McDaniel's saying, hey, we're going to ride with Huntley this week, because he's already named him the starter. So we'll see.
Before we go to the next segment, let's go to some of the comments, Steve. Help me out here. Please read the comment, because I don't wear my glasses right now.
Last night was way too many fourth down territory scenarios that didn't work in our favor too much. Definitely agree. 100%. I mean, but it's not the first time. What are we? Kyle Krabs, help me out here. What are we, 1 for 12 or 1 for 13 right now on the season in fourth down? Yeah. I mean, it's throwing crap against the wall, and it's just not sticking at a high enough rate. Cap saying I lost it. Hold on. Last night was way too many fourth down territory scenarios. Let me see. What is it? What do you say? We got somebody saying, let Tim play. Cap also said, it's the 2 seconds release, Steve. No one can do that but one guy. Problem is with the other QBs, you don't have playbooks for them. Okay, you're right. But we have an offensive genius, correct? We have somebody out there who went to Yale, and he's praised. He's what's the QB collective with Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur and all these geniuses. Figure it out. I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, let's go for our next segment, and let's go around what the media is doing or saying about the Dolphins. Let's go on the Fins TV dial.
I feel for Miami, man. I feel for Miami. Seeing Tua Tagovailoa stand there, sitting on injured reserve, knowing that there's, a potentially uncertain future for him, right? Also knowing that there's 2 more games they're going to have to play without him because they injured reserved him in case he does want to play again. And I think he does. He looks like a guy who's with it. He does look like a guy who's eager to come back. He went with the team to Seattle last week. And you just see how this offense is so struggling without him. The Dolphins are now the first team since the 2017 Browns to never lead through their first 4 games of the season. The 2017 Browns finished 0-16, I might add.
This from the beginning, from preseason. When he put in, we're going to start our meetings at 24 after. You remember this?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Like, as a player, the first thing I would be is like, you got to be kidding me.
It wasn't 24
because
the last
it's
time
24 years since they
right.
won a playoff game.
Yeah.
So we're going to start all our meetings at 24
That's
after.
clever.
I'd be like, what are we, children? Like,
Yeah.
stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it with that.
Year or two. Did Mike McDaniel make Tua? Mm-hmm. Did Tua make Mike McDaniel?
Well, it's clearly a symbiotic relationship. It's benefited both of them, and we see that based on the contract extensions that the organization gave him this offseason. I would say this. I think Mike McDaniel is a good head coach, even without Tua. I do. Where I think it's fair to criticize Mike McDaniel and the front office for the Miami Dolphins is for not having a better plan for backup quarterback.
Late in last night's game, you might have noticed Tyreek Hill visibly upset with the way the game had gone, and for good reason. Things have not been, and see, he knows what to do. He's not talking to Mike McDaniel. He's talking behind him closely enough that McDaniel can hear him. See that? That's a smart move. That's a veteran move. I'm not going to go up and get in the coach's face, but I'm going to get just behind him so he knows I'm upset, Michael. And, look, this is not what the Dolphins expected. And all the concerns we articulated earlier in the show, not having a competent backup behind Tua, somebody who can come in and run the same offense. Tyreek's got to be thinking those things. The players have to be thinking those things. What are our leaders doing? We know we got a guy who's had concussions. How do we not have a better backup quarterback? Who in the hell is responsible for this mess? All due respect to Skylar Thompson and Snoop Huntley and Tim Boyle, we needed better if we were going to win games without Tua. So I can understand why he's upset.
The situation with the Dolphins quarterback, it is bad and getting worse. And once again, I said this before, it's really inexcusable if you are going to take a risk on Tua Tagovailoa, and I've said all along it was a risk, you're a playoff team. You were going to go all in on your quarterback, but you must have a legitimate, decent quarterback who can run your system. You have to have a backup quarterback. You can't be getting somebody off a practice squad.
I want to frame this appropriately because obviously if Kansas City doesn't have Mahomes, they're not the same football team. But I am baffled why the Miami offense without Tua, who doesn't have superhuman arm talent, why the offense doesn't look like something similar to what they do. Those quick reads. They threw that one to Tyreek across the middle, and I felt like you all are in the booth. They're like, hallelujah. I just don't get it. What are they doing?
You have that immediate visceral reaction, and so many people watch it and they say, oh my goodness, he should never play again. And then a little time goes by and he gets whatever it is he hears from his doctors. I mean, clearly my position is and always has been, this is his decision to make with his family and all the rest of that. Sure. But it sounds like that decision has been made.
No reason to rush back, though, because it doesn't look like this team is very good with or without Tua, honestly. And before he got hurt, they were struggling against the Bills. So I'm not sure that this team has playoff aspirations depending on whether he shows up or not.
Well, last week was a very rough week. Another game, another huge loss for the Dolphins. They started Tyler Huntley just 2 weeks after arriving in Miami. Again, the Dolphins looked undisciplined, weak, and at times even tired. I want to start with Steve. Steve, it was certainly disappointing, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you think? The Dolphins basically, there was a lot of criticism about how the Dolphins attack how they prepare themselves during training camp. Compared to other teams, we're going to talk a little bit more when I show us what David had to say. But the Dolphins, is the soft mantle, the soft label has stuck with them, and they're not doing any favors by the way they're playing right now. Steve,
I didn't hear anything about soft stuff until Poyer stood up at the podium in the offseason and talked about Buffalo's viewpoint of Miami. They, and clearly he was saying other teams felt it, that once Miami got hit down or pushed up against the ropes too hard, that they weren't going to be able to hit back. They went down on the canvas and they weren't going to get up at the 10 count. They were going to stay down, or they were just going to stumble through the rest of it. But we saw that last year. And we fans last year were the beneficiaries of that fast, agile, the quick surprise, the quick strike, tons of touchdowns, tons of yards. I loved it. I miss it. But the reality is, going in with an undersized center in a league where you have how the Bills got absolutely mauled on Sunday Night Football by the Ravens. Derrick Henry ran all over them. We don't have that ability. Do we have the ability to run long distances? Yes, but do we have the ability to open up holes? Absolutely. Did some holes maybe open up last night and Achane just simply missed it because he was trying to run outside? Yeah, that happened. But everything leading up to that point, it wasn't working. So is the team soft? I think it was week 2 against Buffalo that Tyreek went out of the game, and I think I was just looking for a reason to wonder what the heck was going on, and it looked like Tyreek was gassed. Something I didn't see until late in the season last year, or late in the game after Tyreek just put up a ton of yards and a bunch of touchdowns, and I'm like, yeah, he should be tired. It was at a point in the game where I'm like, he shouldn't be that tired, and I saw it last night again. Yes. And I'm noticing it with Waddle. So I'm really wondering, and I know I think you have plans to show that clip and everything from the day that I had Chris Perkins thing. You really have to wonder, are they being coached way too easily and they're not building up that stamina that they need? So you're compounding not enough stamina with not enough size, and it's a very bad combination in a league of people who are built for that.
Absolutely. Jason, there was a lot of criticism last year about the Dolphins being soft. The Dolphins, my expectation was that bringing some like Elias Campbell, a leader, they were really tough. The defense certainly, they're giving it their all. Just sometimes, so I have to wonder how conditioned they are. But it's the offense. I can understand for my life why Waddle and Tyreek had to run a sprint and they take themselves out of the game for the next play. I saw a stat like Tyreek has played 72% of the offense. So, I don't know. The Dolphins, the soft mantra is not going to go away, and you're going to show a clip about Dave Hayes saying how the league sees the Dolphins. But I want to hear your result too. What do you think about the Dolphins mantra, the Dolphins being soft and not be prepared for the season, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, Poyer mentioned it when he came on in the offseason. I think in the summer, he was really saying it to South Florida media. You don't have to say it to see it. I mean, it's the last several years, there's been that on the road, in tough spots, that more often than not, it's a fold. And am I calling the Dolphins soft? I'm not calling them tough-nosed, minded team, So by definition, right now they are a soft team. And it goes back to what I'm saying a couple minutes ago. Just stop them on that last play. Like, who wants to get scored on the last second when you're at home, already lost? We just have some pride. And I just think that there's a give-up mentality, a little throughout last night. As much as the defense was playing well, at some point, everyone just did that. So, until proven otherwise, it's soft. Until McDaniel can fix things and literally show that he's going to win the right challenge, make the right calls, fool somebody. Like, there's been nothing creative. There's been different kind of movements from hanging off or faking or doing this, but there's been nothing like creative that's effective with this change, and if it's going to be Snoop Hundley, which it looks like it is going into New England, you can't mimic Tua. You just can't, and you can't just simplify, come up with something and install, right? We're going to install today. We're going to install something new today. Install 9 plays. Remember the Titans and Denzel Washington? It's like Novocaine. Just give it time and it'll work. All right? Run the ball. Figure out a pattern. You're going up against a rookie head coach. Mike McDaniel, you're going up against a rookie head coach. Okay? You're going up against a rookie head coach. So if you're going to get beat again, Monday was a rookie head coach. It was Brian Callahan's kid. He had a head coach. His father's the offensive line coach. Think about that. Mike McDaniel lost to him.
We're going against another rookie head coach next week, so
I'm all
that's
about
going to be interesting.
Well, right?
Sherry,
Callahan, was that his first head coaching job?
Which one?
Callahan was Titans coach.
Yeah. I was thinking about the father or the son. Yes, he was the first.
Yeah.
No, because the father was the Raiders.
Yes. No, it's great that he got that family camaraderie on the sidelines. Love that. My point is,
actually, that's a great point. Why Mike McDaniel doesn't have an elderly?
When was the last time a head coach lost to 2 rookie head coaches? That's what I want to find out.
Yeah,
last night.
Now you soon will.
Please go ahead, Sherry. What are your thoughts about that? The whole Dolphins soft fiasco.
Well, in your vignette, one of the reporters or one of the people said, "No disrespect to Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle and Snoop Huntley, but that just means someone's about to get disrespected." If I think of soft, I don't only think of physicality. I don't only think of being soft, saying Tyreek and Waddle pulling themselves out, and that's where I'm going. It doesn't have to be that they're physically tired. They're mentally exhausted. They do this day in and day out, and they see that there's not Tua back there. They know it isn't going to be. Last year, I had that faith that I haven't had in years, where if we were behind, I 110% believed we could come back. And that has been missing for a very long time, and it's back again. That feeling of knowing last night, we fell just a little behind again, and I thought, oh, here we go. Instead of last year, we're down a touchdown or 2, and we knew it. We were still okay. And mentally, I think they're soft. And think that's a big difference, because I almost feel like that's a little harder to fix, because you have to reprogram them now to have confidence and have faith. And it goes back to what I said in the last segment, unless there's consistency under center. And yes, an undersized center. Sorry, Chris Greer, we are not seeing things that you think are fine and we think are bad. They're bad. So you can be passive aggressive with the fans all day, but it's a fact. We are weak on that line. We don't have a quarterback back there who's going to be consistent right now. That gets in our own players' heads. We are mentally soft right now, and that's going to be hard to fix.
I mean, how big is Aaron Brewer, Jason?
6'1".
Anybody know?
6'1".
6'1". What's his?
He's not an overpowered huge center.
He's not over 300 pounds. He's like
265.
He's not huge.
He looks like
He's not huge.
No, and how Tavondre Sweat?
Oh.
Dude is a mountain.
Monster.
Yes.
He ate
Huge.
him alive.
Yes.
So you're taking everything that Sherry's talking about there. The back-to-back new quarterbacks. You're throwing them into a lose-lose situation, and you've set the stage with offensive linemen. Austin Jackson 2023 was an anomaly. That turnaround that he did was something else, because I was so cashed out on him. We don't have that Liam Eichenberg emergence, Austin Jackson 2.0 showing up this year. They have so many flaws in the undersized piece of it. So Sherry's dead on. We're dealing with elite athletes who are used to performing at an elite level, and the mental piece of them at some point has to check out, where Tyreek maybe is just saying, "Oh, I'm going to run my ass off, and I'm going to go for everything I possibly can here." But maybe he did cut back a little bit. Maybe if he had gone 110% that entire route, he would have been underneath Huntley's overthrown pass. We don't know. But they're going to start mentally checking out, and I just hope it doesn't turn from soft to toxic.
For sure.
Absolutely. I want to go to it's too bad Matt's not here. I know how much he loves Dave Hyde, and you all know how much I love Chris Perkins. But yeah, let's see what I have to say, because I think they're done on this.
Well, let's stick with what she said. I agree with her. I mean, I watched this team training camp, and a couple NFL people who I talk with watch, and they're like, they don't practice very hard. They don't, and that's by design. I think that's what Mike, how he's done it. They say, and you look at them and they're doing things, and I'm not saying it was cutting edge stuff of where, okay, for better or worse, and you look at the performance, you can say worse. Players running, before scrimmages, running assignments with no helmets. You'd see Washington in full pads. The Dolphins are wearing gym shorts, basically. You see the Falcons running sprints after practice. You see the Dolphins just walking off after practice. And these are just things I saw. And then you get into, how hard, reps. I asked Mike about it once, and he said, we don't run sprints because we want to do more reps. And that makes sense. But then I asked Teron Armstead about, or it wasn't Armstead. It was Calais Campbell. He's been around the league, several training camps. What do you think of this one at the end of training camp? And he goes, well, the word when I called around was that it was easy. It was easy here. Then he talked about we do a lot of reps. But the point being, the word around the league is it's easy at the Dolphins. And that's what she seemed to be saying, backing that idea up. And I have to admit, by the way they're playing, it looks like they weren't ready for the season, or they're just not playing well.
Well, that's from Deep Dive with Chris Perkins, Dave Hyde. Jason, I see you doing that face before I go to Steve. Take it away, my man.
I want to hear what Jason's got something brewing. I just want to catch it while he's ready.
Please go ahead.
I'm very glad that the working environment is so phenomenal. The concessions,
Yes.
the air that is blown in, the oxygen. I'm so glad the slot here is phenomenal.
Best
But what
cafeteria in
about
the whole
people that are
NFL.
paying for the product?
Yeah.
Top notch.
Yes.
Top notch.
That's facilities.
I
Superb.
mean, key lime pie and creme brulee at every lunch. I mean, you can't. No, but like,
There's even a slide.
Fun to work for the Dolphins.
Yes.
It's clearly an easily employed scenario for the Dolphins players, and yeah, not a lot of taxes. It's good weather, easy training camp. Maybe that is what is kind of attracting some of these veterans to take less money because it's so easy. So, but it asked me, it's like, what players are coming to win the Super Bowl or collect the money at the end? You know, this team signed 3 veterans like they were on a Super Bowl campaign, but we got rid of 9 players that helped them get to the point last year where they could have been a Super Bowl contender. You know what I mean? Like Calais Campbell, Jordan Poyer, Marcus May. I mean, these are not Odell Beckham Jr. It's like these are the kind of guys that should have signed with Kansas City to go on the Super Bowl campaign. But life might have been a lot easier in South Florida. And what the hell? What the
That's a paradox.
You know? So, right. Exactly. But that's
either
the
they
exact
think it's
scenario that
easy,
we're like,
either they think it's great and they're coming because it's easy, or they're coming to win a Super Bowl. So which is it? Because it can't be both. If they're coming,
but there has to be a medium there.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I love it. I love that you said that because
This
it
is
comes
right.
back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, yeah, one thing that the opposite is just conflicting things are killing each other. But if you could get a happy medium, you know what? Maybe the problem is we're coddling these guys too much. That's for Major League. I'm not saying go terribly on the, destroy the showers and the buses and the transportation. I'm not saying that, I'm saying forget, you know what? Do more wind sprints. Make practice more uncomfortable. Because you know what? Practices, you don't get to play perfect without practice. Perfect practice makes perfect. Right?
Correct.
Hard practicing makes games easy. If you are complacent in practice, when are you going to have the actual repetition to say, damn, my back's against the wall? I mean, I played high school basketball. I didn't play football. But my coach came from a parochial Catholic college. And for us Long Island kids, it was different. Our practices were hard. We're very, very hard. Again, a different sport. I get it. But that was at least a mindset that I learned from that coach. Like, why would practice be easy? Right?
No,
you
to
want to
point,
be dog tired after a practice.
You said basketball as soon as
you
I'm
want to be exhausted after.
No, you're right, because our son is interested. No, you're fine. Our son is interested in playing basketball, and he's never played an organized sport like that in his life. And I'm taking him out, and I'm doing these things, and it's outside in at a park in Florida. Humidity's 80 degrees and all this different stuff, and it triggered in my head like when I was in middle school, when I was in high school playing basketball, and he's shooting, and it brought back memory of at the end of practice we would do suicide sprints. You go out like 10 feet back to the line, fit 20 feet, and you do the whole court, and then you do like 2 of those, and you would close practice by having to hit like 5 free throws. And you would be exhausted, but I realize now in my old age that I'm like, you're doing that because at the end of a game, you still have to have that composure, but you're also building up that endurance. And for pro athletes like this, I get it again. I say it all the time. We're schmucks. Old people sitting here criticizing the elite of the elite athletes in the world, but
Absolutely.
In golf, in professional sports, the people who do those, who pay attention to those little details, that perfect practice type detail, I'm not guaranteeing it, but can be the difference when it comes down to that. And we don't know. We don't know what's really truly going on. All we're getting is a very coincidental release of 2 people in the Miami sports media world releasing information when the team is just kind of down. And that was last week. So they were down on a 2-game losing streak. But I do believe that there is something to it. I do believe that, hey, they're not pushing that envelope enough. Sherry, I'd go.
I want to take it one step further, and I might get some pushback on this, but we only have 3 preseason games now. and we're not playing our starters. So they're not even getting the practice game time in. And I understand you don't want to get people hurt. I understand that. Maybe they'll use that as an excuse in practice. It's 100 degrees and they're going to get dehydrated. We're going to get people hurt. But you can't let that stop you from gelling as a team. And I think playing very, very limited snaps in preseason. And I'm not saying that our starters should play 3 full games, but it used to be that at least the third game out of 4, your starters would play the first half, and it gives them time to gel together. If they're not going to play preseason together, if they're not going to practice hard, how can we expect anything but what we're seeing on the field right now?
Absolutely.
To expand on that, I think there's this fear of players getting hurt, fear of this, fear of that. Well, what if your players, you're bringing them in that are so easily prone to injury? You know, that could be another problem, you know, but you need repetition. And David Hyde said, yeah, they don't do sprints, they do repetition. But who's doing the repetition? Because when I was down there, I saw a lot of guys on the sidelines. I saw a lot of guys not doing repetitions, not in pads. They didn't come out in pads today. Oh, they weren't hitting today. A lot of people got upset about that, you know? Like some people come to a problem, not in pads.
And whose fault? And whose fault is it for building a bubble? Whose fault is it for building a team of soft people? You know, whose fault is it for bringing in a at the time a high-paid, decently high-paid, in my opinion, for his number of games per year performance, injury-prone left tackle who you know isn't going to be giving you more than 10.5 games a season, and hanging your hat on that? Yeah, they got a left-handed quarterback, so really the right tackle might be more important. But no, I'm not buying it. So do you want to avoid injury with injury-prone people? Yes, possibly so. But I mean, so the last thing I want to say on this whole, are they, proven right and everything? As an adult, I finally gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, you know what? Prove me right. If I've said something so many different times and I've tried everything I possibly can, prove me wrong. 2/3 of this team right now has me saying, prove me wrong, because my mindset is you're showing me everything on a consistent basis. I don't want to be right here, but I'm right in those voices in the back of my head this offseason. And when I was curious about what we were doing with letting certain people go that we really, really should have retained for really not that much money, but we watched them go out the door and now they're performing at other teams. Prove me wrong is where I am. Prove me wrong by going out there and actually doing things the right way. It's a bad place to be because I don't want to be right. But prove me wrong here. Sherry?
Also, I wanted to say, too, Steve and I were talking earlier tonight. In 2 more games, Tua has the option to come back. Let's say that he does. I have opinions, not important. Let's say that he does. And let's say when he comes, all of a sudden, everybody's back and their mental acuity is wonderful and everybody's running their routes and we go on a tear and we win 7 straight games. And then Tua takes a hit and he's out. It's that point that they have built nothing behind that. So the season's over anyway. We have to get to a point where we have confidence that the people who are waiting in line to play are at least capable of carrying the team for a short period of time without folding like a house of cards, because it's a hard thing to do to watch. I love watching Tua play. I love the way he is quick release, how he's laser focused and how he generally gets the ball where it needs to be. But I also hate that every single time I'm going, oh, don't take the hit, slide, do this, because every game is a question of, is this going to be it for us this year? I want some confidence in the depth. I think that so mentally soft, depth-wise soft. We just need more. Show me more than just one person standing back there carrying an entire team on his shoulders.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts, Jason, before I go to Steve for the closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, they just gotta shed this soft mentality. Practice hard to make game scenarios easier. At this point of the season, I don't know if that's going to be drastically changed. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I really am at a loss for words with this aspect and the coaching and the mentality. It's got to be different. It's got to be different. And to go on the road again, I really want to look for the stat when we get off the air. If Mike McDaniel is going to lose 2 games in a row to 2 rookie head coaches, that is a massive, massive, massive problem. So going to put a pin on that for a little bit.
Absolutely. Give me any last thoughts, Steve?
No, just there's a lot of perceptions out there. We would love that script to be flipped. Way too many mental mistakes, not being set at the line. Mike McDaniel not learning his lesson with the complex play calling. So if you're going to insist on running pre-snap motion that's not fooling anybody anymore other than your own players, you need to stop trying to do it. Top 2 wide receiver unit in the entire league last year should not be dropping passes. You get those opportunities, you shouldn't be dropping. If by God you see that ball hit the turf, don't go making a business decision and just quit on it, because that was a turnover, giving the defense a short field that I think turned into 3 points. We just want to see a turnaround, and if it's not going to happen, it's going to be a lot longer time. Sherry, I'll let you get the last word here. Go for it.
No, I was agreeing with you. You said they have to make those catches. It's Waddle. These guys are at the top of their game, and they're dropping things in their hands. And I believe that isn't physical. I believe that's mental. I think this is in their heads, and they've got to find a way to fight through this and come together as a team. No matter who's behind center, it's difficult. I get it, but they have to get their heads back in the game, because I don't think they are.
Absolutely. Was putting something together, because since we only had 24 hours to put the show together, there was something missing. So thank you guys for. I'm sorry about looking busy while you were talking, but I was listening, so I appreciate it. So next we're going to talk about the game against the New England Patriots. Well, I like to say that it's a clusterfuck for the Dolphins right now, but the Dolphins with a 26th ranked offense, and the Patriots, yes, is even worse. The 32nd ranked offense. The defense, the Dolphins, the 6th total defense. The Dolphins should be much better than 1-3 if you ask me. With a top 6 defense, and the Patriots with the 30. I'm sorry, the defense is the Patriots defense is the 28th. For the weather, it's partially cloudy with a slight chance of rain. Before we talk about what the Dolphins need to do in the game, Dolphins had a new regime after so many years of Bill Belichick. Another Bill Belichick disciple, the Patriot way. Mayo is the head coach. They have been probably they start the game winning every single game, but they go downhill. It's like the Dolphins. They start very well, but again, last week before they happened the same team. So, what's your expectation for the Dolphins? We're going to talk about the defense and the offense in a minute, but it's a new regime in New England. What are your thoughts about that? What do you think, Steve, is going to be trying to New England? Where Tua is so defeated the Patriots, but the Dolphins don't have Tua this week.
I don't know what to expect, because everything that I've expected let's be real, everything I hoped. The fan in me by Friday afternoon into Saturday comes along. I really, truly don't know what to expect. So, let's be real. Again, I don't expect Mike McDaniel to change what he's doing. I do expect Anthony Weaver to go out there and bring everything that he can, and if he needs to, and when he needs to, he's going to make adjustments. So, it's an interesting position to be in, because not really knowing how things are going to go. I just really hope that we see the quarterback in a much better position mentally to handle what's being thrown at him, and he's not being handed the keys to a Lamborghini. He's being handed the keys to a station wagon that he can actually handle on the road.
Absolutely. Jason, again, the Dolphins going to New England after so many years of having Tom Brady over there and Bill Belichick. It's a new regime. I'm again so sad that our friend Matt Amster is not here, so we can talk about his favorite quarterback. But what are your thoughts? What do you think about it's a new regime in New England, so it's going to be different for the Dolphins. Well, Tua is still undefeated, but the Dolphins don't have Tua this weekend, and Brissett is waiting for the Dolphins. It's probably a great game for him. What are your thoughts, Jason?
I think that this is a tough matchup for the Dolphins, knowing that the Patriots at 1-3, rookie head coach fine, but they have a good running back in Ramondre Stevenson. They have a defense that can, stop the Dolphins' rushing attack, because let's face it, it's not what it was last year, and they're the top, they're 9th ranked in rushing defense, the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
This is a formula for a very low-scoring game, and I think if the Patriots just do what their formula is against the Dolphins team with their 4th quarterback, essentially, in Snoop Huntley, this could be a 12-6 game. This could be a 9-3 game. This could be an extremely ugly game, because I do think that the Dolphins defense are going to still play well. I mean, this is like we referenced earlier. They're a top 6 defense, in yards. They're top 1 in third down conversion. They're going to do their job. I don't think either Jacoby Brissett or, Drake May, no quarterback is going to beat them. A quarterback's going to beat themselves, their own quarterback. A mistake, an interception, a fumble, holding the ball too long, getting sacked. They have to make this so easy for Dolphins quarterback and not let a good rushing attack and a solid rushing defense simply just win like a high school football game. Because that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like a high school football game.
Absolutely. Sherry, we should assume this will be a low-scoring game. So what are your thoughts about the Dolphins going to England this week?
Well, I looked at Adrian. I think you're correct. And it's as simple as score points, because the defense is doing everything they can. And last night was set up to be a very low-scoring game. And at the end, the defense just couldn't hold on anymore. At some point, the dam breaks, and you've done everything you can, and you stand there as long as you can, and then the floodgates open. And it's the defense has done what they have to do. The offense needs to help them. The offense, we discussed this at the very beginning. 4th and 1 on your own side of the 50, punt. Don't try nonsense in the early part of a game when you're not. I get it when there's 10 minutes left and you have to score twice and all that, but not in the first quarter. Give the defense a chance to rest, long sustained drives, run. Don't force the passes where they aren't. Just playing smart football is all we can do, all we can try.
Absolutely. So on that note, let's go to the keys of the game. Jason, I'm going to start with you. It's very simple. It's the keys to the game. What the Dolphins need to do on offense to be successful this Sunday against the Patriots, in your opinion?
My co-host, Marissa Marino, said this phrase earlier on the show tonight. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And I don't mean to call anybody stupid, but keep it simple, stupid.
Love it.
That's the offensive key.
That should be enough. So far, it's not that big. It should be enough.
Defensively, don't change a thing. I mean, Ashari, you said they gave up last night. The wheels fell off. The dam broke. But the first 70% of the game wasn't on the defense. Correct. And this season is yet not on the defense. They're not there and perfect yet. But I like what Weaver's doing. I'm okay with it. Stop the rush. Get off the field. And the Dolphins need to establish the rush. And that's it.
Absolutely. How about you, Sherry? What do you think is the keys of the game for the Dolphins on offense?
I agree with everything we've said so far on offense. Keeping it simple, stupid is the perfect way to describe it, because as they like to call it now over the last couple of seasons, the eye candy isn't doing anything but fooling our own players and causing us grief and penalties. So let's dumb it down. Sounds bad, but simplify the playbook. Run with the personnel that you have, what they are able to do accurately and efficiently, and keep your defense in this game. Keep them from having to be the saviors constantly.
Absolutely. How about you, Steve? What are your thoughts? What do the Dolphins need to do on offense? What are the keys to the game?
Oh, I'd really like to see McDaniel hand the play calls to somebody else, but I know that's not going to happen. But I think key is, first of all, Huntley getting an extra full week of getting those live practice reps. I really think a key to the game, again, these are hopes of mine, is that the veterans on the team really, truly start to step up. I saw last week Tyreek tweeted out, things about to flip. I think he said today something inspirational. I don't need a football team that needs a sign on their wall to remind them to live, laugh, and
believe.
I don't need that. I just need
it worked for Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
Worked
well,
for
it's
Ted
not
Lasso.
no, that's good. That's feel good.
And
But
it's
anyway, my
yes.
key to the game, like everybody else said, it's not going to be a high scoring game. Play the long game. Put them at a disadvantage. Put their offense at a disadvantage and our defense at an advantage where they can feel better, more equipped to tee off and throw a slow Jacoby Brissett. Or if they happen to say, you know what, this just isn't going to work in the middle of the game, Drake May comes in. Don't make them look like, the second coming. Like we made Mason Rudolph look pretty respectable last night. And frankly, he shouldn't have been, but again, in any case, defensively, just don't give up. Ignore what the other 2/3, ignore what Jake Bailey's doing out there and shanking punts off the side of his foot. And that the offense isn't doing everything that you came in here into the season hoping that they were going to do. Keep on holding your own down and just come out of there with a win. Give us some hope. That's all we need.
Absolutely. Let me go back to the. Here we are. There you go. Let's go now to the. Let me go to take the comment over here. And there we go. How about on defense? I'm gonna start with Sherry. How about on defense? What's the key for the Dolphins on defense? The Dolphins, again, the top six defense in the NFL. They're certainly doing their part against an old friend, Jabroni Brisket, like you used to call them, the Dolphins. Derek May is not certainly going to see any action this week. They're last in the NFL in offense. The Dolphins being 6 on defense should be a lot of help, but that's not a guarantee. What the Dolphins should do on defense for the Dolphins to have a chance this game?
I've liked what we've seen so far, and as long as they're studying film, obviously they know what to look for. They're not going in there with a podcast. They're going in there with hopefully hard practices, right? Not soft practices. But if they can keep doing what they're doing, I want to see consistency, and I want to see if they need to be the ones that suck it up for that last 5 minutes because the offense has caved, suck it up for the last 5 minutes. Keep us in the game. Make sure that if we score 6, 12 points, that's enough. And that it's unfortunate, but our defense will have to carry for right now.
Absolutely. Jason, was it you who said last night that tweet that said that the Dolphins need to score? The Dolphins need to score for the win that game. Someone said it on Twitter. I don't know if it was you, but that would be a good point to start. The Dolphins maybe had a score on defense, pick 6, a fumble return for a touchdown. Any points for the Dolphins will do. But what are your thoughts on defense?
It goes back to the chess point. If you're gonna punt and you have. I heard that Saron Neal was one of the greatest gunners in the world, right? Elijah Campbell, one of the greatest down punt guys in the NFL, right? So put him to work. Punt the ball, have Jake Bailey air it, get it inside the 5, Mac Hollins it, and down the ball inside the 5, and then blitz a defensive back and force a veteran quarterback or a rookie quarterback. Oh, look at that. Jordan Brooks just got a gifted interception. Oh, Zach Sealer just got it in his belly. We're wasting Zach Sealer.
Sorry. How about you, Steve? What are your thoughts? What the keys will get for the Dolphins? I love it.
Special teams is so important, folks. Special teams coverage. Yes. This is a 3-aspect game. And if you could remember the days of Darren Rizzi, remember the days of Mike Westhoff when special teams would help you win football games. I ran.
Yes.
How about kicking a punt more than 4 yards?
Just to say hello to Mike Westhoff because I love the man. Special teams is a huge portion of football. Use it. Get better at it. Please.
How about kicking the ball as how about a punt? A nice punt when it's needed. That should suffice. But how about you?
Oh, no, we had
anything better than a
free kick
landing on the 5, bouncing down it. Oh.
That's so many things.
A penalty was like a 70-yard penalty.
Oh, yes. What the heck was that?
I didn't get that.
I don't understand that at all.
I'm not a big math student. Not math.
I've never seen that before. I know it's a new rule, but I know it's a new rule, but still. How about you?
Me, for the defense, it really, you've got to limit mistakes. You've got to capitalize on a team that preseason was pretty consistently expected to end up with a top 5 draft pick. There's a reason for that. they need to throw the Patriots, like Sherry said. They've been studying film. They know what should work against this team. Just go out there and copy that blueprint. And that goes across, both offense and defense. But I'm not sure. All I have to say is we're very lucky Dolphins fans who want to watch the games that there are TV contracts and they set these things up, because if this was SEC, it'd be tucked away on SEC Plus, streamed on the ESPN app.
Well, we did get the secondary crew last night, to be fair. But.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but in some aspects, it's better than the number one crew in ESPN. So yes,
I'll listen to Louis Riddick and Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not so bad. So let's go straight to the.
Louis Riddick could.
I think they shouldn't have let him out of Miami Gardens.
We got a proposition for you.
Don't let him leave. Yeah. By the way, every flight out of Fort Lauderdale is not working. Why don't you go sit in this cushy chair? Okay, I've said so much.
Isn't that comfortable? But isn't this Chris Grier's chair? No.
Not anymore.
No. First Saturday next week we're gonna talk a little bit more about the construction of the team. We're gonna talk more about which opinion about who's to blame for the construction of the team. What are our best guess, but that's for next team. So that goes next for the big finish. 145 people joining on those platforms. Even the dogs are barking. They're so excited of his TV this week. Please like and subscribe. Go to YouTube. Please help us a lot. I know a lot of people are watching right now on X, but if you can go to YouTube and to give us a like and give us a share, we really appreciate it. You can find us on our platform at Fins TV and at Fins TV on Facebook. The hardest working man on Dolphins Nation, Jason Sarney, at Jason_Sarney, and of course, and Marisa and Jason on Dolphins Talk, and with Zach Krantz Thursdays at 12 p.m. Right, Jason, on the Fins Talk Network, right? Dolphins Talk Network.
You got it. 12
Absolutely.
Thursdays on Dolphins Talk.
Dolphins Talk Network. Absolutely. So next we're gonna go to the Fins TV Top 5 Power Rankings. Well, it's certainly a very interesting week for the picks this week. I'm not by myself, but about others. The Ravens at number 5, the Buccaneers at number 4, the Lions at number 3, the Vikings at number 2, and number 1, the the Chiefs, still at number 1. Well, for a second, I was watching that for a while, that Chiefs-Chargers game. The Chargers, they looked like they had a chance, but of course, Justin Herbie's going to be Herbie. So much talk about Justin Herbert being the chosen one, even with Harbaugh. Sometimes he looks like. So what are your opinions of the Chiefs still number 1, Steve?
Until they get knocked off, they're going to have to be number 1. Somebody in one of those segments, I think it was Scott Van Pelt, said if you take Patrick Mahomes away from them the way that the Tua was taken away from the Dolphins, the Chiefs would still continue, whether they've got Chad Henne or Matt Moore as their quarterback. Sure. They will still continue to produce. It's because they are an incredibly coached team. From their head coach, their defensive coordinator, they just put it together. My shock for the season, frankly, other than the Dolphins, is the Vikings. The Vikings are just they're putting it together, and I'm happy for our man Van Ginkel.
Absolutely.
And
yes,
the Vikings
please.
Need to stay undefeated. I know that's a weird thing for a Dolphins fan to say, but I would like them to stay undefeated through this weekend since they play the Jets, and I need the Jets to lose. So
we are all Dolphins fans. Well, I'm sorry, we're all Vikings fans this week. Yes. We're Ryan Flores fans for a week.
Yes.
So next we're gonna go to the Fins TV Pick 'em League. A little bit of that outrun music to start the Fins TV Pick 'em League. Bobby Fins Talk at number 10, Fins Super at number 9, Matt at number 8, Sean Stanley Video Show at number 7, Shari had at number 6, The Adrian at number 5, Jason Sarney at number 4, Lou from Day just married this week at number 3, Bearded Fanatic now number 2, and number 1, Tiffany Tower of Terror at number 1.
People got in this league.
18.
Jesus, man. I didn't even make the big board at all.
You should try to pick with your heart more often. It's working for me. I mean, I'll take 6th out of all these people.
Yeah, I have a roulette at home. I just run it out.
I might as well. I'm gonna have my dog pick. I'm actually gonna do that this week.
Perfect.
I'm having OJ McFluffy is gonna be making the picks this week.
Perfect.
So congratulations to Tiffany, who's joined the show before, a friend of the show, Tiffany. And number 1, Bearded, who took a victory lap last week, is now at number 2. He was worried about some of the picks he made, and certainly cost him. He's at number 2. And Lou from Dade, he just married this week.
Congratulations.
We wish her with bride all the happiness in the world. Well, again, it's been a certainly interesting week. We appreciate all of you to being here, joining us over 250 on all platforms. Please go to YouTube. Please like, please subscribe. We want to thank again the hardest working man on Dolphins Nation, Jason Cerny, friend of the show, Sherry Haddett, and my co-host, the number 1 guy on Fins TV Nation, Steve Haddett. This was a certainly very interesting week. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about who's to blame for the construction of the team. It's going to be certainly interesting. And 2 weeks from now, I want to separate the day. Friend of the show, Jason Mendel, said yes, and Jason Sarney says, I think he said yes, but he has changed his schedule to Fins TV Jeopardy on bye week. We're going to change our returning, defending Jeopardy champion, Matt Armstrong. It's going to be. I'm really working on that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So thank you very much. We're gonna see you next week. And always remember, when you talk Miami, no matter what, you still stop in Super Bowl. Fins up.
Fins up.
Thanks for watching Fins TV. Please like and subscribe. Next week, Fins up.